What's up, friends? So today I thought I would share my yoga journey and my experience doing my yoga teacher training through an online course through Trifocus Fitness Academy. Hopefully it can help anyone who's looking to do their teacher training and perhaps is thinking about doing it online. There are many schools and institutions that offer the yoga teacher training courses. It can be difficult which one to choose, and more so whether to do it online or in person. We all know with COVID and the pandemic, a lot of things have shifted to online. It may be easier and more convenient, but maybe not necessarily better. Just to give a bit of context and kind of my backstory with yoga, I'd have been doing yoga or doing yoga classes for maybe plus or minus 10 years now. Before I got into yoga, I was heavily into the gym and into weight training and bodybuilding, and never thought of actually doing a yoga class. When I would go to the gym, I would see the yoga and Pilates classes happening in the studio, but never really thought to actually try a class. When you're young and you're focused on the weights and building muscle mass, that's really your focus, and you don't really think about doing stuff like yoga for flexibility and for core because you think you don't really need that kind of stuff. So anyway, I gave a yoga class a try at the gym, and lo and behold, it was really tough. I remember I just walked out and I was like, man, my core is so weak. I struggled to hold some of the poses. My flexibility wasn't good. And immediately I just thought, I really wish I had started sooner. So from then on, I kept the weight training in the gym, but I started to do one yoga class a week, I think. And gradually over the years, I added one or two other classes. So I think I was always doing at least between 1 to 3 yoga or Pilates classes a week for quite some time. It was really beneficial. There were so many positives that came from those yoga classes. My flexibility increased, my core got stronger, my holds and strength in poses and in stretches really got better and got really stronger. I also got more into meditation through the yoga and started doing more research on breathing techniques, those kind of things, which really help just generally with your mental health, with stress, with just keeping you calm. And I still do those things to today, so they're really helpful. So yeah, then fast forward a few years, I think I was always thinking of doing my yoga teacher training, but I guess just kept putting it off, or just didn't really think of it too seriously. It was just at the back of my mind. I started to not give class, but just take some of my friends through yoga sequences or stretching sequences here and there. And I really loved, kind of helping them get healthier, get more flexible. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. So I think that's when I started to do a lot more research into, yoga teacher training, various courses, where you can do it, that kind of stuff. And I decided I wanted to do it. So I wanted to do it full time, kind of like doing it within a month, just full on, get it done, and really, get the whole experience, as opposed to doing it like part-time, where you do it every weekend and you do it over, say, 6 months to a year or something like that. Through my research, I found a lot of cool, nice places in India, and that's where I really wanted to do the training. I did actually find a really nice place in India. I'll put the link below if you want to check it out. So yeah, I had actually planned to, go ahead with it and make a booking for the middle of 2020. We all know what happened in 2020, so that kind of went out the window. So yeah, so we went into lockdown, and I saw some adverts. I must have been on Facebook. I was following a fitness academy called Trifocus, I think, and they were having a sale on some of the online courses. So I checked it out, and I just thought, why not? Let me just do it. Let me get started. We were in lockdown, so I guess it was no better time to do it, and it was all online, so I decided to just go ahead and do it. I bought the course and I started doing it. I thought I could do the 200-hour online, and then at a later stage I could always do the 300 or the 500-hour teacher training and do that in India, because I still want to do that. So I got started, and the whole course took me a little bit over a year to finish. It's kind of divided into two parts. The first part is a lot of theory and some tests and quizzes that you have to do. And then the other part is the actual practical 100 shadow hours of classes that you have to do and that you have to get signed off, as well as a sort of practical exam. And there's various practical exams or tests that you have to do. So for the shadow hours, I did have to wait a bit because of us being in lockdown. We couldn't, I'm sure you all know the gyms were closed, that kind of stuff. So it wasn't so easy to do, and I don't think much of the online classes had actually started yet. So a little bit about the Trifocus Yoga Teacher Training course structure, the online course structure. So it's split up into different sections. The theory is split up into different sections, and each section has various slides with all the information that you can go through. After each section or each group of sections, there is a kind of multiple choice quiz or test that you have to do, and some of those tests are quite long and have quite a lot of questions. I think it can range from between 25 all the way up to 50 or 60 questions, and they are quite in detail, so they do test your knowledge quite well. So it's all self-study and at your own pace. You can email them for any questions, or if you need a tutor, you can do that, and they do help you out. They give you a maximum time limit of 2 years to complete the course, with an option to extend it if you need it, but I think you do have to pay for the extension. So the topics are quite comprehensive. They range from the history of yoga, the Yoga Sutras. They also go into all the different kinds of poses. So there's sections for example, there's sections for standing poses, seated poses, advanced poses, how to conduct a class, how to formulate a class, and structure a class. So I think it does cover everything that you need to know, and the syllabus is quite comprehensive. They do have a lot of images as well as instructional videos, especially for each of the yoga poses. So they do provide a lot of information with regards to the poses, as well as counter poses, follow-up poses, all that kind of stuff. It's all included in the notes. The only thing I did notice was there were quite a number of spelling mistakes, which they probably need to review. So after all the theory, you do need to do the 100 shadow hours, where you can attend yoga classes under an instructor of your choice. They do also offer ways to do your hours online, more so during the COVID time, but I think that's far eased up now. And when you do those classes, your instructor just has to sign you off to say that you've done that class and however long the class was. There were also a couple of practical assignments that you had to do at the end and submit, such as, for one, you had to prepare a class. You had to kind of prepare a full yoga class and write down all the different poses and the sequence that you were going to follow, and you had to submit that plan. You also had to give a class to anyone. You could give it to one person or just get a bunch of friends and just give them a class, and you would have to record that and submit the recording or the video of you giving the class. And then you would also have to do an assessment with your instructor that you shadowed, where the instructor could pick 9 poses of their choice, and you would have to demonstrate all the 9 poses, as well as show a few other things like what some of the counter poses are for those 9 poses, and a bunch of other stuff which they tell you what exactly you need to do. And when you do it for the instructor and you go through every single pose, the instructor can ask you various questions and whatever, and once the instructor is happy, then they can sign you off, and then you submit that signed off declaration to Trifocus, And that's kind of the final step. So once you've completed all the theory, quizzes, tests, and all the practical parts, and everything submitted, then Trifocus goes through it all, and then if everything is all good, then you pass and you get your certificate. So some of the pros of doing the course through Trifocus and doing it online are the following. I guess the main one is that you can do it at your own pace. You can do it from home. The second one is that there's a lot of detail and theory covered in all the notes and the slides. So you do get a nice overview and background and detail of everything. I mean, you can always, Google anything else that you want more detail on. So that's always at your disposal. And then thirdly, it's also great that you can pick your own instructor to shadow. So if you have a preference, or if you know a bunch of instructors, you can make up your hours through a variety of the instructors, which is quite nice. And then some of the cons of doing it online, like it was a pro, it can also be a con whereby you doing it at your own pace, because I know some people will need that interaction and need more of a structure. So they need that going to class, your assignment needs to be done by this date, those deadlines, just to keep them in check. So I guess that's subjective and that depends on you. I also think just on the Trifocus side, they probably need to update some of the material a bit, as there were quite a bit of spelling mistakes, things like that, but not such a big deal. I guess this is just a con of doing it online, whereby you don't get that interaction, or you don't get the practice of giving classes. And I think I underestimated just how much this is needed, because after I got the certificate, I did give a class in quite a big studio, and I've always known my voice is kind of soft, but you don't really realize such a thing until you actually realize it, if you know what I mean. So when I had to give it in such a big class, such a big studio, then it became more pronounced. So I realized, wow, I really have to, kind of project my voice a lot more. And for me, it doesn't feel natural. So I'll project my voice, but then eventually go back to speaking softly. So either I need to get a microphone or really practice, projecting that voice of mine. And this is the kind of thing you would notice if you had that exposure to practice giving classes in a variety of settings, which you would probably do if you're doing a more in-person course as opposed to doing it online. If you don't have any experience in actually giving class or leading people in a yoga class, then you may be in for a bit of a shock doing the course online and then having to go straight into a studio and to give a class, because it is quite different to just giving a class to your friends or family at home, for example. There's many small and extra things to think about and implement, so just be aware of this if you're choosing to do your yoga course online. But just remember, it is a very practical thing and it takes practice. So also by that token, don't be disheartened if you give your first class and you mess up, or you feel you weren't as good as you thought. It'll come with practice, so don't worry too much about that. So I think it was a good experience all in all, and I guess my plan going forward is to start trying to get more practice by giving classes to people and giving classes wherever I can, just to get as much practice as I can to really build up more and more confidence, as well as to be able to formulate different classes and kind of also exercise my voice, as well as my ability and my experience in just leading a class, giving a class, that kind of stuff. But ultimately it boils down to just practice of it all. Then hopefully in the future we'll head to India and do either the 300 or the 500 hour class. I think that'll be really nice. So that's my experience with it. Thanks for listening and watching. I hope it was insightful and useful. Please do share your stories and experiences with me if you've been in the same boat and you did your yoga teacher training, or any sort of even Pilates training, and you did it through an online course. It would be great to hear what your thoughts are on the whole process. If you are into meditation, I do have a video on all the basics of meditation, so check that out. Or if you're struggling to focus online, I have a few tips that you might find useful. The video here.